Want to have an excuse to finish a film in a very short amount of time? Don't care if it's amazing, but just want to have fun? Then I encourage you guys to try making films in under a week, and here is why. Hey guys, it's Toniko Pantoja, and today I kind of want to talk about why you guys should try making a short film in a couple of days to less than a week. Back at CalArts at around fall, we had this event called the 48-Hour Film Lockdown Event, which we all gathered around to hear the current year's theme, and therefore we had to produce a short film in 48 hours. Now, the event itself isn't led by the school itself, but rather the students. So during the weekend, we'd all produce a short film of our own, revolving around a current theme, and by the next weekend, we had our film screening. When I was a freshman back in 2011, I had teachers who were totally against with the 48-hour film event. They found it a waste of time and energy, and also the work that comes from the 48-hour films is not really work safe or isn't something you'd want to put in your demo reel, due to content or skill showcase wise. But really, that's not the best reason to stop anyone from doing the 48-hour film event or doing anything similar. Sure, you may not come out with work that's top tier presentation or quality wise it's off the roofs, but there's a lot of benefits to it. And these benefits would later make teachers give assignments to students where they'd have to make a film in under a week. 48-hour films, a couple of days to a week? Let me tell you why making a short film in a very short time frame is so beneficial to you as a filmmaker. Number one, you're kind of forced to come up with a product in a very tight deadline. Actually, at CalArts, the 48-hour film event was optional. But once the event started, we all just rushed back to our computers and worked on a film. You want to try actually finishing a short film for the very first time? This event is great for that. There's almost no time to just procrastinate or think hard about your film. Sometimes it's better to have finished something casually than to over-procrastinate and not finish anything. And this will sort of test how you can improvise when actually making a film. Number two, it makes you decide how much time you want to spend on it. Some people just want to spend a few hours to a day on the film and not touching it, just submitting it after that day is done. And then there are people who will use the weekend to spend all-nighters, to spend full hours making a short film. Events like these do encourage people to kind of be wise in how much time they want to spend on a film. This will kind of test you in how you want to dedicate your time. You can spend a few hours just working on a film and a few hours actually enjoying life. But if you want to hear my honest opinion, I say go for the crunch. I don't encourage anyone to turn crunch into a lifestyle, but because the time frame is so short and if you have the energy, go for it. The 48-hour film is great in actually experiencing the crunch, just experiencing it and what it's like, and how you can work around it or prevent it from happening. Because crunching may happen in bigger productions, and your experience in an event like this is very similar to that. Also, it's to see how much you can do in all your power when you're put in extreme pressure, how you manage your willpower, and kind of understanding what you're capable of during these pressures. Some people work best during pressure, and others just can't. So I say just try it for an event like this. Number three, it makes you decisive in moving forward. Because you have so little time, you can't just sit down and think too long. You only have 48 hours or you only have a week to come up with a film. When I was working on a short 48-hour film with Mike Piazza, a friend of mine, we were just saying yes and yes to everything. We came up with the goofiest ideas and just said yes, and let's just go right at it. We didn't care if the story made sense or the character design was awesome. The rule for us was that if it just sounded fun just to do, we're gonna do it. If it ends up not working, well, we'll just take it out or just leave it as is. Thinking too hard about making something that's top tier quality is just gonna stall us, and we're not gonna go anywhere. Number four, it forces you to be very creative in a very small time window. Now there's two parts to this one. First is because you just have a very small time window, you kind of have to come up with ideas that are non-conventional. You can't think too hard about having structure to your movie, and you'll come up with ideas that can work with that schedule. The second part is having to make decisions such as ending the film sooner than you imagined. All the 48-hour films that I've done, I've had these big ideas that I've always wanted to do, but I never had enough time to actually manage it. And therefore, I had to make tough decisions such as cutting the film down. And as a challenge, you kind of want to end it in a way that can make sense to your schedule. As much as you don't like it, you have to be creative in how you want to wrap up your project as soon as possible. It's going to make you work smarter, and if optional, it might make you work harder at the same time, so you might get the best of both worlds. There's no way you're going to come up with a fully finished looking film. There's no way the production quality of that film will be off the roofs. You don't have time for that. In most cases, you don't have time to fully animate your films. But if you want to retain some fun animation, well, you're going to have to work smarter. Maybe reuse assets and drawings, and just manipulate the movements for those instead of having to redraw each new frame. Maybe you're going to have to choose a more crude and simple style. Or some people just have a film that's just one shot. Set parameters for yourself. Part of working smarter is kind of being both creative and innovative at the same time. How creative are you to make solutions that work well for you? How creative are you to come up with a solution that will help you finish a film within that time period? Number 6, it's going to help you discover future filmmaking problems and hiccups that may occur later in the future. Listen, when I was working on 48-hour films or films in less than a week, I found video compression issues, technical filmmaking issues. The sound was off sync, so was the animation. Some of my files got corrupt. But I also got to learn how the programs worked, how to use the software, and how these experiences using these tools can later be applied to bigger and more important projects. Because events like these aren't supposed to be taken seriously, the risk is super minimal. Encountering and solving the problems that I faced during these 48-hour film events will definitely help while working on much bigger projects. Number 7, it shows the full, raw, uncensored type of artist and filmmaker you are. The problem I have when working on more top tier or prestigious projects is that there's always a high standard for me to hit. And sometimes I do things that don't best represent me. However, to 48-hour to less than a week film projects, I'll come up with gags and jokes that are so unconventional, so weird, maybe inappropriate, but in the end, it makes for a more unique, fun film. With that time pressure, you're going to make decisions that only you can make, without thinking too hard if it's going to impress the mainstream audience. Some people made super gross or super violent films. Yes, people did come up with a lot of inappropriate films, but some people made more safer films. Some people made really weird films. But events like these will really test you to make decisions that only you and no one else would make. I would make decisions that kind of make you excited, or make you giggle a bit. Who knows? Number 8, try to have fun and not take it too seriously. Unless your life and career really depends on this one film, and I pray to God that's not the case, I would just say just have fun and not take it seriously. You're not trying to come up with a magnum opus with this event. And if you feel that working very hard and being very ambitious with your film is part of the fun, then by all means go for it. Also, the point of these film events like the 48-hour film event or a film made in a week event, you should kind of let go of your ego. One thing I like to think about is that the film I'm gonna make is gonna be stupid, it's gonna be shitty, it's gonna be bad. Therefore, it's gonna lift all the pressure on my back. It's gonna lift all that burden away. When I work on short films, I think too hard about the story structure and I want to make sure the quality is great. But with super short film events, all I'm thinking is this film's gonna suck, but you know what? Let's have fun with it. Even if I set a lot of work for myself, might as well make it a great experience. No point in trying to impress people. We're all making stupid stuff together. Let go of that ego. Shit, that rhymed. Last but not least, you finish a short. I remember when I was still at school, some students couldn't graduate because they've never finished a film, but you know what? Just turn in that film you did during the weekend. There's not a lot of people who can say they finished a short film. I think finishing a short is a huge accomplishment, because you already know how to come up with a film from beginning to end. Even if it's not the most perfect thing, it stands on its own by its own right. It's a film that you can watch, and it's a film that anyone else can watch. And sometimes you won't know. Those short films might actually take you somewhere. Actually, a few of my 48-hour films have gotten me job offers from major studios. Sure, it's not anything I'd add to my portfolio, but there's a lot to be desired from actually having a short, even if it's not the most prestigious looking thing. Now, with all that said and done, and if this is something that you guys are interested in, organize an event where you guys can select a theme and get started on films. If you're a student at a filmmaking school or an animation school, you guys should do this with your fellow classmates. Organize a meetup in a group. If you're still a student, maybe you can encourage the school to kind of promote it. But again, it's not optional. Last but not least, organize a screening. Have a party and screening for all of your hard work. And when you guys watch the screening together, laugh together, get grossed out together. And knowing that these films were just made for fun and not having to impress a studio or pass school makes the entire event a whole good time. Anyways, thanks for hearing me out. And if you guys want to see films that I've made in 48 hours to a week, I'll upload them. Other than that, I'll see you guys around. Interested in learning hand-drawn animation or learning how to finish an animated shot from beginning to end? Have a look at the store where you'll find the complete Introduction to 2D Animation video course, tutorials, and other resources. Learn classical animation approaches, drawing, lectures, techniques, and other process videos. Visit the store through the link in the description below.